Hey, what's happening? It's Bill Smith. Before we get started, if you're new to this conversation, I have a message from Q. We're waiting on this FISA report, I guess, from Congress. So I'll talk about that in a second, but we have to mention it over and over and over because we've been waiting for it for months. Supposedly it's just around the corner, and we're supposed to mention that. So today is August 14th, 2018. And this is Q Post 1876. It says, Gmail drafts. That's the first line. So before I even read the rest of this post, what they mean by this is when you log into Gmail and you start to send something, like you draft an email, but you never send it, it just sits in there. They used the same account and they'd log in and they would see the previous draft. So, I'm just taking a guess here. I don't know who the major players were. I think it was probably Obama, Hillary Clinton, people like that. But they all had similar addresses and they would log into the same address. So, Hillary and Obama maybe shared an address. And Hillary would log in and she'd write a bunch of stuff. And then Hillary would let someone else log in from somewhere else and read that draft. So that way, the message never gets sent across the wire. It never gets picked up by routers. It never gets sniffed on, by the operators in the United States. And likely it was probably hosted overseas. Although it's Gmail, so it probably doesn't matter. No one thought they'd ever find it. Anyway, Google safeguarded this stuff at the highest level. Access level 3 at Google. Server routing, non-US based. So I just said that. They didn't even bring this across the wire over there. So when you logged into Google, you were probably connected to a server somewhere across the United States boundary. Singapore or something. And that message sits there in a place where no one can ever get to it. No government will ever reach it. It's probably safeguarded by Google security over in another country. So they have it really, really tightly locked. And then, like I said, all they would have to do is log in, leave a message, log out, and then let somebody else from somewhere else in the world. They could be working in an NGO, another government agency somewhere else. Could just be a regular citizen out doing some work at another company. They just let those other people log in to those accounts, and they read the Gmail drafts. They could make a different Gmail account for each message. That's a possibility. But that's how Google dealt with this. So highest level of security. So the sample I'm going to give you is this. So this guy was fired back in 2012. He was a 4-star general. And he got fired because he got caught in an extramarital affair, which is funny. Because now we allow, I don't want to be edgy. Okay, I'll just let that one go. But he was a 4-star general. He was having an affair with his biographer, so this journalist that was writing a book about him. And they caught him. And this is how they caught him. And it doesn't talk about it here in Wikipedia. But I'll tell you, that's exactly how they caught him. He was logging in, leaving draft messages, and she was logging in and reading them. And they were communicating by using the same Gmail account and leaving draft emails. So on November 7th, 2012, General Petraeus tendered his resignation as CIA chief to President Obama per the directive from James Clapper. So James Clapper wanted this guy out. And by all accounts, I think Petraeus, I saw a bunch of memes on the chans, and I don't know if they were true or not. Petraeus, I don't know. I thought he was a good guy. I could be wrong. I don't know much about him, but it's kind of up in the air. He pleaded guilty to a misdemeanor charge of mishandling classified materials. He was given a 2-year probationary period and a fine of $100,000. Crazy. Okay. So that's a good sample that I'll give you right there. So then it talks about wet work. Now, here's where it gets interesting, if this is true. So wet work is like a hit job. So it originally meant robbery that involved murder or the spilling of blood. That's from Wikipedia. So we get into wet work, human trafficking, the sharing of ICE Border Patrol counterintelligence schedules to safeguard their exits and entrances into the country. So moving the people and passing messages about when people are going to have gaps in the border, when they can sneak them in, how they can get them past it. Sharing of FBI counterintelligence to safeguard privileged operations. Sharing of Department of Justice where we stand investigations and guides to overcome, dismiss, and win. So that's about court cases. The strategies on how they're going to prosecute people. The transfer of money instructions to leftist organizations from the DOJ. That's a big one right there. People have been saying this stuff has been happening forever. Settlements, off-book meetings. So they're using Gmail to schedule get-togethers, stand-down orders, don't take action orders, like such as places like maybe Charlottesville or other places where we've had riots. Ferguson, perhaps. Muslim Brotherhood. And they cross-coordinate this with UK assets. OPRO, SIS, UKP. I don't know what those are. OPRO, O-Pro, and the SIS. SIS, I think, is Secret Service UK. But the P, I'm not sure what the P is. If you know that, I'll pin the comment, or I'll favorite it. Coordination with foreign actors for payment, money disbursements. Coordination with aid organizations for illegal plans. Now, Red Cross comes into mind right there. We've talked a lot about the Red Cross in the past. Ham radio instructions if remote 5. So isn't this Nellie Orr? Ham radio instructions? Okay, so Nellie Orr is Bruce Orr's wife. And if you're new to the conversation, it has to do with this FISA warrant, what I started the conversation with. And the FISA warrant is how they illegally got permission to spy on Trump's presidential campaign, like he's a terrorist. So, Nellie Orr and Bruce Orr are married. They're part of it. I don't have a lot of time to cover them, but it's connected to the FISA warrant again. So it kind of brings that back up. And that's where it ends it. That's at the very end. And here's the important part. Okay, it says, why does Eric Schmidt make public NSA classified tools? And think X-Keyscore and PRISM specifically. Okay, now X-Keyscore is a formally secret computer system first used by the U.S. National Security Agency for searching and analyzing global internet data, which it collects on a daily basis. You know what that sounds like? That sounds like Google. That sounds like what I'm using right now to find X-Keyscore. Down here, it's got some more stuff too. What is Gumfish? Gumfish takes over the device's webcam and can film or take photographs. Might want to put a piece of tape in front of your webcam. But NSA PRISM? PRISM is a code name for a program under which the United States National Security Agency, the NSA, collects internet communications from various U.S. internet companies. The program is also known by this program name, SIGAD, US 984-984XN. Whew. Okay, so why was this tech kept from elected officials? I imagine it has to do with government oversight. And I also think it probably has to do with what they can and can't do. Like, they can just hand it over, they can go put it in another country and do whatever they want with it. If the United States government owned it, there'd be like a bureaucratic process and some kind of oversight somewhere. And you can totally get around that with a corporation. Corporations have to mind their trading laws, SEC rules, and they can't break the law, but The laws are much more relaxed for what they can accomplish. Why was the NSA created? So the President Harry S. Truman authorized the creation of the NSA in a letter he wrote in 1952. So that is after World War II, which itself remained classified for decades. It was formally established through a revision of National Security Council Intelligence Directive 9 on October 24th, 1952. Okay, now the purpose of it is it's a national level intelligence agency under the authority of the Director of National Intelligence. The NSA is responsible for global monitoring, collection, and processing of information and data for foreign intelligence and counterintelligence purposes, specializing in a discipline known as signals intelligence, SIG-INT. So if you see SIG-INT, you're probably talking about the NSA. Now, since we're here, it says, what's the difference between the NSA and the CIA? So it says the main difference between the NSA and the CIA, FBI, and the DIA revolves around how each agency gathers its intelligence information. The NSA does not have field agents who do in-person intelligence gathering. So they don't have any investigators, really. Okay, so that was all signals intelligence right there. Think SIG-INT. What advantages exist to big tech, other ABC off-on agencies, elected officials, CEOs, foreign adversaries, etc., if such information is learned? Everything, man. You know what I mean? It's like if the United States goes out of their way to collect a bunch of intelligence and then everybody else can get their hands on it, that means we're doing more harm than good. And if Google can collect it, it goes right around us. Their Gmail platform was a CIA tool. Google, the Google search was a CIA tool. It was all government backed. This is like old news. People know all this stuff. But if that was under the government's control, then we would get that information. If Google has it, then maybe they share it with us, maybe they don't. Maybe they share it with somebody else. Maybe they don't. Who knows? That's up to Google, So that's a huge opening to people like the Muslim Brotherhood, deep state people, whatever you want to call them, just people that are not good people. You could do all kinds of stuff with that. So here's the thing. It says, what price are you willing to pay? Did you ever play hide and seek? Now, I'm not going to tell you what that means for a second, because up here they go on to say, here's an article talking about how Google will track your movements even if you turn it off. Siri's always on, always listening to you. Facebook listening to you even after you remove their app. Twitter has geolocation on. You are under constant tracking surveillance, no matter what you use. They all got you. So all you got to do is use one. So here's the thing. Have you ever played hide and seek? What are you willing to do to cause a disruption? Individually, like as one human person that has one choice to make. Are you willing to keep that phone? That's the question. Because, you can have your laptop at home. You can shut that off, unplug it. But if you have that phone in your pocket, you are going to be tracked. They will listen to everything you say. It will go into Google's central database somewhere in Singapore or China, where Apple keeps their storage at now. Siri is listening to you from China. So, are we going back to flip phones? Are we going back to, candy bar style phones? I don't know. What price are you, the public, willing to pay? Till next time, this is Bill Smith. Thanks for watching.